Welcome back, everyone. So, tonight, the first of my Day Zero builds is going to be Toya. This is a character that a lot of people have kind of been mid on, and not just for the art choices. I guess Toya didn't get a lot of good screen time. But, let's get into this. Toya is a 7 hand size 20 health character with Order, Void, and Water. I chose the Order symbol for today's build. Toya has 2 enhances, the first of which is if you block this attack, your rival commits 1 foundation. So, committing your rival down on defense is basically stun 1 every time you block an attack. And then enhance, once per turn, this attack gets plus X or minus X speed. X equals the number of your rival's committed foundations. So, as we're committing stuff down on defense, we can then make their last thing really slow. Excuse me. Again, I don't know why I get hiccups every time I start filming. So we make one thing really slow, block it, or on our turn, we make one thing really fast, so they can't block it. So I chose an order list for a very specific card. Tell me in the comments if you see it now. But we're going to move into our attacks, and the first is Cursed Ice Breath, a 5/3, 4 low for 5 with a +1 mid block, and the ranged keyword. It says enhance, freeze 1 rival foundation. Your rival may discard 1 card to cancel this effect. So we either tell them they don't get that foundation during their next turn, or they lose a card out of their hand. 9 times out of 10, they're just going to let you freeze the foundation, and that's another -1 speed that they have to deal with Toya's enhance defensively. Next up, we have Toya's Ultra, Ice Sword Execution. Okay, the face is different, but I thought that was basically just the same pose. This is a 5/3, 5 high for 5 with a +2 high block, and the weapon keyword. It says enhance, name 1 foundation, commit all copies of that foundation. I believe, as written right now, unless they've eroded it, and I just haven't seen it yet, this will commit all copies of any card in both staging areas. So let's say you both have Master of Drunken Fighting, and you say Master of Drunken Fighting, both of you commit all copies of that foundation. I believe that's how this works. And then enhance, discard 1 momentum. This attack gets +5 damage, freeze 1 rival foundation. So you get rid of a momentum, this becomes a 5 high 10, which makes it a very nice choice for Toya's offensive enhance of +X speed, X being their number of committed foundations, and you get to freeze a foundation. And unlike Cursed Ice Breath, they don't get to discard something to cancel it. This just becomes a 5 high 10 that auto-freezes a foundation. Pretty solid. And then we have Toya's rare attack, Shards of Winter, a 4/3, 1 mid for 5, pretty slow, a +2 mid block, the ranged keyword, and the stun 1 keyword, which means you can force your rival to commit 1 foundation of their choice. It says enhance, this attack gets +X speed, X equals the number of committed rival foundations. So this card means you get 2 uses of Toya's enhance. 1 for Shards of Winter, and 1 for maybe Ice Sword Execution. So a really good maneuverability piece, because it also has the enhance that if this attack deals damage, draw 1 card. So you can pump a lot of speed on this and draw a card if your opponent doesn't want to deal with it or can't deal with it. And then, say maybe you've got a Ice Sword Execution lined up after that. You can play that. Of course, it'd be on like a 6, but you can then give that all the speed with Toya's main enhance, so that you don't have to waste it, unless you just want to double pump on Shards of Winter. I mean, who am I to tell you how to play? But the next attack is the reason I built Toya off of Order, and that would be Zeru's Flames. This is a very dangerous card to play. It is a 7 difficulty, a 1 control, but it has a nice +0 mid block, and it's 5 mid for 7. It's got the Fury and ranged keywords. And it says, as a response, after you play an enhance during this attack, your rival commits 1 non-character card in their stage. So every time you use Toya's enhance, or any of these other enhances that you could possibly spam, you're going to automatically tap another card in their stage, eventually making them completely unable to block anything, even without Toya's enhance to just push 1 huge damaging attack through. It is very dangerous. It is a 7/1 that is very double-sided, but I do think that this card has a lot of potential to see some pretty niche play, and I think Toya is one of the characters that can use it pretty well. And next up we have Vile Seizing, because why not? It's a 4/3, 3 high for 4 with a +1 high block, the Breaker 1 keyword, and Fury. So Breaker is if you block with this card, your rival's next check gets -X equals your Breaker rating, so in this case a 1, because when we're committing cards on defense, every time we block, giving our opponent Breakers seems like a great idea. This also has an Enhance. Your rival makes a check against a difficulty of 7. If they fail, draw 1 card, and this attack is +2 damage. So it becomes a 3 high 6, which could wear the Toya Enhance pretty well. 6 damage, that's respectable. But also, forcing them to see if they really, check a 5, well, do they really want to commit 2 more foundations when they'll have to deal with Toya's Enhance later on in the turn? Or do they want to let you draw the card and get an extra 2 damage? And then a Deadlock Enhance, if your rival's checks get -2 for the rest of the turn. If your opponent goes into Deadlock to deal with all of your offensive and defensive card committal, you say all of your checks get -2, it doesn't matter how many foundations you have, because I'm going to commit them all, your checks get -2, everything's going to connect, it doesn't matter. And lastly, we have a couple of fun little Tormenting Glares, a 5/3, 3 mid for 6 with a +2 low block, it has Fury and Taunt. It says Enhance, your rival's checks during this attack gets -1. So this includes the check to block, which is always good. Again, we want to tap down as many foundations as possible. And then it also has the Enhance, if your rival has 3 or more cards in their hand, your next attack gets -2 difficulty. Turning Zeru's Flames maybe into a 5 diff, turning Ice Sword Execution into a 3 diff, a 3 diff 5 high for 10. That's pretty solid, right? But yeah, that is our offensive line here. And I tried to use cards that, probably with the exception of Cursed Ice Breath and maybe Tormenting Glare, any of these attacks would benefit from the Toya +X speed. So you can really pinpoint which one you want to use, maybe bait your opponent out with an Ice Sword Execution, and then give it all to a Vile Seizing, after they've tapped a whole bunch of stuff down. Or, you use Shards of Winter and they don't know what's coming next, or you just start your turn with a Zeru's Flames and watch their entire board fall like dominoes. Moving on to our non-attack cards, we have Idunbox, a 2/5 +2 low block unique asset. It says Commit as an Enhance, return this attack to its printed speed and damage, return it to its printed zone, and if it was unblockable, it is no longer unblockable. Now, normally I would only throw this in as a 1-of, as like a fun little tech 1-of, but I've thought 2-of because you kind of want to see it because it allows you to block easier by returning things to printed speed and zone, and it cancels unblockable, which I think the only thing you need to worry about is Mount Lady. Sorry, Chris. But just the ability to then have access to your defensive Enhance, it kind of makes it a lot easier, especially if your opponent's putting a lot of speed on things. And then we have La Brava, a 3/5 with a +1 low block, ally Breaker 1 and unique. Again, another +1 breaker block, Vile Seizing being a +1 high, La Brava being a +1 low. And she says, Enhance Commit, this attack gets +X speed or +X damage, X equals the number of symbols it shares with your character. So Ice Sword Execution can be an 8 high for 5, eventually an 8 high for 10, so it wouldn't have to wear the speed from Toya. Or, if you want to boost the speed from Toya, you can just use La Brava to give Ice Sword Execution another 3 damage, making it a X high for 13. And then that could really go through and kill somebody. That cuts in half a lot of characters. That's really cool. Or, on your turn, you can remove her, discard 2 momentum, your rival reveals their hand, you get to remove 1 card revealed this way, and this attack will gain all enhance abilities printed on the removed card. So you can get rid of an attack if they have another attack in hand, gain more enhances, or you just rip the best block out of their hand so that they can't slow you down. Either way, I think the fluidity of the X speed or X damage can really help with the character, especially since Toya wants to give a bunch of speed, you can tack on a little bit of extra damage there. And lastly, we have our actions, and I've chosen to go with Showdown, a 3/4 with a +3 high block. It says response, after you block with this card, commit 2 rival foundations. So you use Toya's ability, and they have to selectively commit a foundation, and then when you block with this, you get to select which 2 foundations they commit. So that is peak getting more bang for your buck. And then as another response, commit 2 foundations after your rival plays an ability on an action card, cancel it. We're mainly here for the, I'm going to commit 3 of your foundations in 1 block, and that's just another reason to build Toya off of order. Even though I think Void has a lot of good things with using Barrier Shield instead of Showdown, I think the ability to just commit 3 and then potentially, like, breaker your opponent or do something to give their check -2 or what have you could really, really hamper their kill turns. And we are a 7/20. They really upped the number of 7-handers we get, so just to be able to block with a Showdown, target 2 cards to commit 1 with Toya, and possibly bring their turn to an end off of 1 block is really, really solid. Moving on to foundations, we have Master of Drunken Fighting, a 2/5 with a +2 low block. It says enhance commit, your rival commits 1 foundation. You turn this sideways, they turn 1 sideways. So again, just bolstering as much speed as you want to put on one of your big attacks. Then we have Acrobatic Style, a 1/5 with a +3 high block. With response Tenacious Flip, after a rival foundation is committed due to your effect, ready this card. Now this doesn't say your turn, so you could use Toya's defensive enhance to force a commit on block, to then ready this on your rival's turn if you need more resources to block with. Or you could always do it on your turn with one of your stuns or a Zeru's Flames or something like that in order to continue a string out. So that's also another really fluid way to use this foundation. Next up, Childlike Appearance, a 2/4 with a +2 high block. It says enhance, destroy, discard 1 momentum, reduce this attack speed to 0. If it's blocked, commit 1 rival foundation. So this is a kind of pseudo Barrier Shield on order. This would be really good to play in conjunction with Toya and Showdown. Commit 4 foundations off of 1 block. Can you imagine the magical Christmas land that would require? But I guarantee you, it can be done. You just get rid of a momentum, block on a 3, commit 4, because with this, you commit 1 rival. You get to select. So your rival selects 1, and then you select 3 to commit, tapping 4 foundations. Heaven forbid they had to commit foundations to pass the check to play that attack. Their turn will be over. So, yeah, really, really solid. Not quite as good as Breaker 2, maybe, but being able to selectively tap down a foundation and say you don't get that one anymore is almost as good. Then we have Elemental Advantage, a 2/5 with a +3 high block. It says enhance your turn commit, freeze 1 rival air, earth, or fire foundation. So this is selective freeze if our rival's running any of these symbols on any of their foundations, which could happen depending on what you're expecting to see. This could easily be cited out for other cards, but I think just to be able to possibly chance commit something that your rival might need, or freeze something your rival might need, and kind of just hold it down so they never get access to it, is pretty solid. Next up, Icy Blade, a 3/5 with a +2 low block. It says enhance your turn, check a 5, so as your cost you're making a control check of 5, which you are allowed to commit foundations to pass. Your attack gets +1 damage. So this is repeatable +1 damage per Icy Blade as long as you pass the 5 checks. And then response, flip after your rival plays a non-character ability that readies or commits a foundation, cancel it. So it's anti-stun, anti-targeted committal, and it's anti-readying. So if your rival has any way to ready their foundations back up again, you can tell them, I don't think so. But giving this kind of boost plus the La Brava boost can really pair well with Toya giving all that speed onto the big kill card of that attack string. And it wouldn't be a Toya deck without Master of Ice, a 2/5 with a +2 mid block. It says response remove after you block with this card. Add 1 copy of Master of Ice from your discard pile to your hand. So These are good to check with Icy Blade, because then you can just chain your blocks. And since it removes itself, you don't have to worry about progressive difficulty. You do have to worry about blocking mid and possibly taking half damage, but to be able to constantly tap your opponent's foundations down so that they maybe can't string out and you don't have to worry about it too much is pretty solid. Then we have Shinobi Prodigy, a 1/5 with a +3 low block. It says response, flip after your rival's attack deals no damage. The next attack played this turn gets -3 speed. We fully block something, next thing gets way easier to block. So we use Toya, and then flip this if we think they're going to play another card. And even if not, then if they don't play another attack, we've missed one flip, but hey, at least they didn't play that other card to kill us. And of course, we have Botan's Coaching, a 0/5 with a +3 mid block. It says enhance flip, both players discard one card and draw one card. Instant 4 of in any deck on one of these 3 symbols. This is going to be probably one of the most chased rares in the Dark Tournament set, in my humble Hermit opinion. Moving on, we have Elasticity, a 2/5 with a +3 high block. It says response flip after an attack is blocked. The next attack this turn gets +3 or -3 damage. So this could give more damage to our strings if our rival is able to block one of our cards, or give your rival's next attack -3 damage after blocking with, say, a Master of Ice and then picking up another Master of Ice. If we're afraid of that half damage, it already loses 3 damage, so we take even less after that. And then response flip after your rival plays a stun ability, cancel it, and add the top card of your deck to your momentum. That momentum can be used for things like Childlike Appearance, Ice Sword Execution, La Brava, if we're feeling froggy. Sorry, I think my cats are getting annoyed with me. Next up, we have Creeped Out, a 1/5 with a +3 mid block. It says enhance, commit, your next check to block this attack gets +2. So we do want to block a whole bunch of things, and this is just facilitating that a lot easier. And the response flip, after a breaker ability is played, it gets -1 to its rating. So when we try to string, and our opponent tries to slow us down with breaker, we can flip these and say, you're not slowing me down near as much as you think. Then we have Sense of Justice, a 2/5 with a +2 high block. It says enhance, commit, name a keyword. Your rival's attack gets -X speed or -X damage. X equals the number of attacks with that keyword in their card pool. With all of these tribal decks like Tribal Weapons, Tribal Charge, Tribal Fury, Tribal Ranged, this could be good to, if you maybe don't have any more cards in your hand to block with, just cancel a whole bunch of damage just by committing this card. It's not a flip or anything, it's just a commit. So this is a really strong defensive piece to either give a bunch of speed hate or make sure we're not taking a bunch of damage. Next up, we have Can't Escape Me, a 2/5 with a +3 mid block. It says response, destroy. After your rival plays an ability on a non-character card that adds any number of cards to their hand, cancel it. This includes drawing, and there's a lot of draw put into this set. A lot of non-character draw, like all of Suzuki's kit, the ultra rare for Bui, Botan's Coaching. This can cancel all of that kind of stuff. So really solid for making sure your opponent isn't picking more cards up into their hand. And then as a deadlock enhance, commit, your attack is +1 speed for each committed rival foundation. So in deadlock, Can't Escape Me acts as another Toya offensive enhance, which is just as if you need more. Next we have Conflict of Ideologies, a 2/5 with a +3 mid block. It says response, commit, after your attack deals damage, freeze one rival asset or foundation. So this is going to make sure that we're kind of holding our rival stage down each time we deal damage. And as we're committing cards on their turn, and then maybe committing cards on our turn with stun, they're not going to be able to block as much, and we're going to be able to just hold it down and freeze as many foundations as possible. And then response, flip, after your fury attack is not blocked, your rival loses 2 health. This can reduce your rival to 0 health, and we do have Vile Seizing, Tormenting Glare, and Zeru's Flames as fury attacks, which this is a printed 6, this can get to 6 damage, that's a 7 damage move, we have some damage boost here. Conflict of Ideologies could be a neat way to cheek out that extra damage you need for the kill, or just hold your rival stage down until you're able to put yourself in a better position. And finally, we have Ice Gliding, a 1/5 with a +3 mid block. This is Enhanced Commit. This attack gets +1 or -2 speed. If it's blocked, the next attack gets +1 or -1 speed. So it's perfect on offense, on defense, for making sure your stuff is harder to block, or that you're going to keep blocking and committing your rival's foundations on their turn. This is a 65 card deck, pretty well rounded, I do believe. It's mostly mids because we want to be able to block everything, even if we are taking a bit of chip damage. It's more crafted towards guaranteeing the block as opposed to guaranteeing a perfect block. And I don't think the order symbol has a lot of like health gain. I think we can use healing up from Rinku's kit if we needed to, but it's mainly here to just push your rival's stage down, make them slip and fall on the ice, and hold them down until you're done. So what do you guys think of Toya? Do you think Toya is going to be just one of those niche little, you might see one, you might not, but when you do, you just got to keep your math straight? Or do you think that Toya could be a sneaky pick for a really dangerous stun-type build? Thankfully, we are losing 1.3 million volts from set 1, so you don't have to worry about the speed and damage for the committed foundations, but I do think Toya has a lot of potential, and I think that people are kind of overlooking him just because he is kind of just plain and meh, but I wouldn't be surprised to see someone put in the work on Toya and put something forward really dangerous. With that said, if you like the video, please like it. If you're new here, for some reason jumping in on like my 15th Day 0 build, welcome. I'm the UVS Hermit. If you like deck build content for Universus, please consider giving me a subscribe, and comment down below what you think of Toya. Do you think Order's the way to go, or do you think Void is better for the Barrier Shield than the Showdown? I haven't really given Water much thought, hilariously, considering he's an ice character, but I do think Order and Void are the two symbols you need to watch out for on him. With that said, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.